Hey, what's up, Poetics? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, Evolution? I'm doing great, man. How are you today?
Great, man. We got this show lined up. You ready to give it to him?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Let's do it.
What's going on? What's going on?
What's going on? This is Evolution, and I got my dude right beside me. What your name is, man?
Poetics in the house.
Poetics is in the house, man. Welcome to What's Going On, episode 2. Episode 1 went really well, man. Before we jump off into everything, I would like to send a shout out to our sponsors, JG's Lounge, Golden Diamond Productions, TGBTG, and our newest sponsor, Vibe. VYV comes in a little vial. You shake it, you snip it, and it gets your thought process going in the right direction, man. If you want to support the podcast by making a purchase of that, go to the website, VYV, and type in the code Lution15, Lution15, and get that discount and support the show, man. We appreciate everybody that's been viewing and supporting us, and we want to keep that thing going as long as we can. Poetics, man, you got anything to say before we get going?
I'm ready to get the show started.
All right, well, let's do it, man. Today's topic, I didn't sign up for that. Empty job promises, review the job, don't let the job review you. With that being said, Poetics, man, you got anything to say before we get rolling on our individual stuff that we put down on it?
um, I'm actually just ready to jump right in, man.
Okay, okay, okay. So let's hit the first one, man. Basically, companies that offer sign-on bonuses. What is your take on that, man?
Of course, when a company offers a sign-on bonus, 9 times out of 10, you'll never actually receive the actual sign-on bonus, or there's a stipulation that says, oh, you have to, work 90 days or 6 months or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But of course, what that also means is that they're breaking it up in portions. So every time you get a check, which is only, let's say if it's $1,500, if you're only getting $250 checks every month or so, or whatever it is, you're gonna be taxed on all of that. So by
Mhm.
the time that whole process is over, you've only received like half of that.
Man, for real, if that, and the thing that I think about when I hear that is a sign-on bonus is just exactly that, a sign-on bonus. As soon as you sign the paperwork agreeing to accept that job, that's when you're supposed to get that full amount up front,
I agree.
because that's what a sign-on bonus is. You know what I'm saying? So any company that presents this to you, first of all, you got to question, why are they approaching people with a sign-on bonus anyway? Is
Hmm.
it that hard for them to get people that they got to try to entice them with a money offer? What type of situation do they got going on, bro?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to question that in the first place, man. And then when it's not actually a sign-on bonus, you got to question that company. Be like, okay, I see why it's so hard for you to get people, because you do a little shady stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Uh, so, do you have anything else for that?
Yeah, man. It kind of goes to show that that company is probably, they probably don't have a code of ethics or morals that they should have as a company, because they're
Yeah.
they're going to give you a sign-on bonus that you won't really receive the fullness thereof.
Hmm.
They do that to entice you. Yeah, I want you to apply, to try to get you to apply there and work for them. But it's kind of like, well, if you just treated all your employees like human beings, you probably
Boy,
wouldn't have a hard time, actually keeping them.
for real, man. And you wouldn't have to go through those type of measures to bring them in.
In the first place, right?
Right, right. Because when people hear that, that's exactly what they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a $250 bonus, a $500 bonus, or $1,000 bonus. I've even heard some ridiculous numbers like that. You know, you put that advertisement out there like that, that's the way the people gonna receive it. You know what I mean?
Right. And they know that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, there's a lot of missing information, which makes them look like they're kind of like a shady place to work for anyway. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Right. So anything else?
No, I think we've pretty much hit that on the nose, man.
All right, man. Do you have any examples of that?
Of a sign-on bonus, not personally. I've looked at companies where I might have thought about applying for them. They offered sign-on bonuses, but I, looked at it. I was like, probably not for me because you'll never see that bonus anyway.
Right. So I do have an example that I can use of my own because I was looking for something like at this particular time in my life, I was looking for something part-time on the side. You know, I already have my full-time stuff going on. So I was just looking for something, that would complement what I was already doing.
Right.
So I went in and checked them out, wasn't nobody in there, surprisingly. And then I got the lady's attention and told her what I was trying to do. And she was kind of like, had a little weird look on her face. And I'm like, because I ask questions, bro. I don't hold back. I ain't got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? I got everything to gain. So, yeah, man. So I'm telling her about, what I heard and what I'm trying to do, what availability that I actually have to do an extra job on the side. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, well, I don't think we have anything like that. I'm like, well, you advertising that you hiring, right? And then she was like, yeah. And I said, I'm looking at all the stuff that you offer. That is one of the things that you offer. So why is it not available?
Right.
Well, we're not looking for that at this time. I'm like, so that too is false advertisement, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So then I asked, I'm like, okay, so let's just say it was available and that sign-on bonus, was presented. So when I signed that application agreeing to take this particular job, is that when you bust a check on me? And she was like, no, that's not how that works. I was like, you know what? That's not how I work. Peace.
Right.
But I mean, it wasn't gonna work out anyway because the stuff that they was offering job wise wasn't even available. They was trying to sucker you in the door so that you can take all that they had to offer, which was basically all they was trying to give. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't trying to work graveyard shift. You know what I mean? And everybody can't work a graveyard shift. You know what I mean?
Been there, done that.
Yeah, man. I'm not the one to stay up all night, bro.
Yeah,
not in no gig.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It's tough.
Oh man, but yeah, man, that's about the only example I got, and and I probably won't have too many more of those, bro.
Yeah. Real quick, man. Speaking of the graveyard shift, I did that for like probably all together for about 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it ain't nothing nice. So yeah.
I did it for a few weeks and it was crazy how it happened, man, because we didn't sign on for that either. I was working at a union company, man. Company had a union, and I was actually the union steward, one of the union stewards, man. So they had a union steward on each shift, and somehow my name came up because they wanted to start a third shift, the graveyard shift. And I'm like, seriously? But and we all told him, it's like, it might be good in the beginning, but that's gonna be a rough shift, on everybody, because we was like, that wasn't our normal shift. So the first night went great, man. We was all amped up, got the production out. Second night, got like 50% of what we did that first night. Third night, man, we were zombies, bro.
Right.
And one night, one of the plant manager came in and he was like looking at everybody. We was looking at him like, shh, hey man, you better figure it out quick, bro.
Yeah, for real, man. It's tough, man. It's tough on your body for sure.
Yeah, but after about 2 or 3 weeks, they shut it out and went back to what we was doing before, man. We was like, shh. That was rugged, man. It was. I don't wish that on anybody, man. Anything else, bro?
I think we hit that on the nail too.
All right. Let's jump into the second one, man. Companies offering you money to help them get recruits for the new position. So in other words, they instead of them advertising, that they hiring, they're asking the people that already work there, who do you know that you can, bring in, and then if we hire them, we'll not only break them off a bonus, we'll break you off a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had that offer before too, man, and I'm like, it sounds good, but really, how does it work? Like I said, I'll ask the questions, bro. I don't hold nothing back.
Right.
You bring it to me. You better have your stuff in order. You know what I mean? Well, trying to make it sound exciting. Well, how that works is, well, if they get hired and they work 30 days, you get this much. And if they work 60 days, you get this much. And if they're here 6 months, then you get the whole thing. I'm like, no. I was like, I ain't bringing my people in and nothing like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's
go ahead.
Actually my exact same experience.
Break it down, man. Let us hear it.
Yeah, man, yeah. You just, they tell you, yeah, like you said, man, 30 days or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I think ours was 90 days.
Uh-huh.
Then after 90 days, I think it was a 6-month period. When you hit the 6-month mark, you get another portion of what they promised you. And then I think after that, it was like after a year, you get the remainder of what, was the totality of what you were supposed to receive. And it's kind of like, it's no different than the actual sign-on bonus when you start a job.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
All that's getting taxed, and you'll never see it either. So,
right, man. And I understand the flip side of it. You don't want people coming through the door, snatching that cash and running. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's why you bind them on paper. You know what I mean? If they do that, then you deduct it off of what they're supposed to get later on, or whatever, however you got to do it.
Right.
But I mean, that's just it's not correct how they present it. You know what I'm saying? If you present it how it's going to be, then you'll have a better luck with it. But if you try to be sneaky with it
and blindside people,
yeah, man, then you're going to have more trouble getting employees than you already having, because guess how quick that word going to spread. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And people and the good quality workers that you might even have are going to be looking at it like, boy, they don't appreciate us, so I'm going to look for something different. And then you'll see, at least that company's location start to decline a little bit because they don't have the services that you once provided, along with the host of other people who are actually quality.
Right. Exactly, man. And then for the people that do try that and bring people on, and they see how dirty it's working for them, and then they looking at you funny, like you done got them into something, and then you like not appreciating how the company did you, make you want to start looking somewhere else as well.
Right.
Exactly. So the good people that they do have with those type of promotions or whatever, they have the potential of losing everybody. You
said it all.
So let's move on to the next one. So these type of companies, what are they really offering? You know what I'm saying? So usually it's an insane workload. They got this ridiculous productivity quota that they want you to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And people can do that at times, but it's that type of high volume, constant consistency is more designed for computers,
Right.
So when you're trying to get that type of output out of a human being, yeah, you can get that at some time, but after an hour or two, we're gonna wear down a little bit. We're gonna need a break. You know what I mean? After 4 or 5 hours, we're gonna need something to eat. You know what I'm saying? To charge back up.
Exactly.
And depending on the what the temperature is, you know what I'm saying? Because some of these companies, they don't care, and I've even heard the statement made by companies is, employees complain how cold it is. Well, if you're cold, work faster. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't that crazy?
Man, look, you got a heating system in your establishment for a reason.
Right, right,
Right? I
right.
mean,
You don't
there's
want poor working conditions as an
man,
employee. You know, you
you know, it's all in how you treat people, man. That's why some of these super successful companies are super successful companies because they treat their people good.
exactly
And they understand that concept, man. Nobody wants to get mistreated for anything, even if you're paying them. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
So, yeah, man, if you're going to have a colder environment, at least have legitimacy about how the temperature. If you got a freezing unit with you got cold storage for, I don't know, you got food that you're shipping, it's got to be frozen. And yeah, then that's understandable. Yeah, it's gonna be cold, so supply that cold gear for your people. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And in the same breath, on the flip side, if you got a hot environment, supply that gear for those heated temperatures. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Take care of your people,
Fans and
and
AC would go a long way.
boy, and in some cases, longer than money.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Because yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to be comfortable, to have proper benefits, to be treated like a human being. You know what I mean? That's
Um,
that's everything.
right,
And then money's a plus. You know
right.
what I'm saying? What your thought? You got any thoughts on that, man? You want to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, man. I actually worked for a company, most recent company that I left, which you're kind of briefed on, but they'll remain nameless.
Uh
But
huh.
the workload was actually fine. But the problem with it is, even though it's an all year round job, it only has peak times or peak
Mm-hmm.
hours
Mm-hmm.
during the spring and the summertime.
Mm.
So, during that time, if you know how to do your job, you're going to produce really, really good numbers. And I did that.
Mm.
But when the fall and winter hit, the demand for that product isn't the same. They still want you to hit those same numbers that you were hitting in the spring and
What?
summer. And
Oh
it's just kind
man.
of like, well, this is an unrealistic goal. Like, and when you tell them that, they're looking at you like you're crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you the truth. Maybe your other employees haven't told you this before, but I'm letting you know how unrealistic and really just crazy it is. It doesn't even make sense when the demand for your product isn't the same at one time as it is for another.
And that should be common sense with a company, even at even at those great companies that I was talking about. They have seasons where they consider
Moments.
slow seasons. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And they have seasons where they consider their heaviest season. Um, so they plan for that. You know what I mean? You shouldn't expect people to go hard uh, in the slow season when it's just not even the business ain't even there. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's when you streamline everything. If you're doing a company business and you're operating it right, then you slow down, you cut back a little bit. You know, Instead of offering all this overtime, it wouldn't make no sense to offer a bunch of overtime in your slow season. You know,
Right. When there's no work.
right, right. So it's just about the thinking of some of these companies, and more importantly, who these companies put in charge of these locations.
Precisely.
Because you can work for a great company, man, and then the people that they put in place, whole different story, man.
Right.
I mean, I got plenty of examples like that, bro. Um, I'll go to this one right here because I think it's a good one, and then I'll let you, do your thing.
Sure.
I had just moved back home from being away for a little bit. Um, in a different state. I did some things and moved, relocated or whatnot. So I was coming back home because it's where the heart is. That's where the comfort zone is. Everybody know you. You're not out in a state where you're just pretty much by yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
So first thing I told this company, and they hired me pretty quick. You know, I'm not looking to go out of town on any job. I'm looking to stay local. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. You don't have to go anywhere. 2 weeks after getting in that job, man, well, we're gonna send you out here. I'm like, did you not understand the conversation that we just had literally 2 weeks ago? Oh yeah, but this is only gonna be for a couple weeks. Couple weeks, what the money be like? You know,
Right. Money
I got.
talks.
Hey, I'm gonna ask the questions, bro. Oh, that sounds pretty good for real. I mean, I could do that for a couple weeks, but after a couple weeks, I want to be coming back home. So I let them sucker me in on that one, man. I get to this location, which is out of state again, and talk to the foreman, who was barely there. Uh, and I was like, okay, so this looked like a pretty big job. It don't look like it'll be done in a couple weeks. He's like, couple weeks? He's like, shoot, this is like a 3-4 month job. And I was like, so who you gonna have to replace me after a couple weeks? Because they told me a couple weeks. He's like, you like everybody else is here till the job is done. And I'm like, really? So I called back to the base and talked to that same person. I was like, look, what changed between the time that I got hired, the conversation we had, and the conversation you told me before I got here? Because this dude is talking this and that.
Right.
And all lies, bro. I don't remember having that conversation. I'm like, oh, it's one of those. It's one of those. I was like, okay. So I put them 2 weeks in, bro. I got that money. Bounce. Got myself back home, man. But you can't be dishonest to people, man. Just flat out lying to them and expecting them to just do what you trying to make them do.
Right.
Because that the one important thing that was very important to me at that time was staying local. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was very vocal with that. I was upfront with that, and I told him that multiple times over and over because that was my priority.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even beyond pay and having a job. My point was to stay local because I've been there. I've done that,
Right.
And they just, oh yeah, sure. Really? People, man. These companies, man, it's a lot of dirtier ones out there. You got an example, bro?
Yeah. Actually, same company I had just mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I told them, hey, I want to not only make a certain income, but I wanted company leads. I didn't want to have to try to go out there and hunt for my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So, he promised, it was a definite promise. He was like, you know what, company leads are provided. You don't have to ever worry about that. He's like, we provide you companies all year round.
Mm-hmm.
You are required to close, 2 self-generated deals every month. But I was kind of like, yeah, that'll be no problem because I'm gonna have company, generated leads, and I'll be able to get myself gens from the company lead. So that's not an issue.
Right.
And when here's the crazy thing. When you realize how bad the company leads actually are, and how it's impossible to generate any self-generated leads from the bad company leads that you were set up with,
right?
You start to find, you kind of, start realizing that, okay, you want me to hit these numbers, but you're not giving me any kind of provisions to realistically hit these numbers. Boy. So when you start coming at them with, hey, you're setting me up for failure, they looking at you like, no, that's not the case. And I'm like, it's not anything else.
Right. You can't twist a lie into some type of altered truth. You know what I mean? It's either the truth or it's either a lie. Right, exactly. Are you being truthful to your people, or are you just flat out lying to them? If that's the business you want to run and operate, more power to you. But I guarantee you, it's only going to go so far.
Right. And I tried to tell them, man, because I understand that, when you see something's not working a certain way, as you had, previously, I guess, outlined it to the employee when you hired them, and you're like, okay, as a company, we do need to make changes. I'm like, I do get that part. But it's like at the same time, if I as an employee come to you with ideas on how to make the company better, and you say you have an open door policy, and you don't take anything that I put into, even as an idea, like you don't even entertain it.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, the company wants to grow it to this, $1.7 billion company, doing 65 million a year. That's great. But it's kind of like you're never going to reach that 1.7 billion because one of the number one things you need is employee retention. You can't just keep, having this revolving door of people in and out, because everybody sees how crooked you are as a company. And expect for you to continue to be able to have exponential growth. It'll never work that way.
No, it might not even grow. You're struggling to keep it like it is, basically.
Yeah. Right.
So, it's the way people look at things sometimes, man, blows my mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's hit one of our segments, man. I looked this up, bro, and I'm still laughing about it because it's crazy. And this particular segment that we have on What's Going On is called I Done Synced and I Done Heard It All. So this particular individual, man, he was a car thief who stole another car to make it to the court date about the case that was previously about car theft.
Wow. Wow.
Man, you can't make this stuff up, bro.
That's really I done seen and heard it all moment right there.
What you got for that, man? What you got for that, man?
There are times where I always have a lot to give. But then there are times where I'm left speechless. It seldom happens. I'm speechless, man.
Man, look.
I mean, here's the thing. When you get down to the court case, when you get down to that court hearing, I mean, you got to remember you're in the courthouse, so you're in that area where it's going to be flooded with law enforcement anyway, looking for that stolen vehicle that you just took.
Yeah.
So it's just like I can't, bro.
Man, I seen that article, man. Man, props to JG Jukebox for sending that to me, man. Because, oh boy, I laughed for about 10 minutes straight when I seen that article. I couldn't believe it, man. But that is really what happened, and that's what's really going on. And I done synced, and I done heard it all. Oh man, right? Let's jump back into it, man. Talking about these companies, man, that really don't treat their people like they should, and they really don't advertise the benefits of bonus or signing bonus packages like they should. And we last talked about the insane workload, but now we want to talk about the type of work that they're offering you to do. Man, I done did some stuff in my life, bro. But I tell you what, some of these things that I was required to do or asked to do on the job, absolutely ridiculous, man. For instance, this one job, very dangerous job, man. Melted steel. And every so often, the weigh machine that this big pot of molten liquid comes down and weighs on, somebody need to crawl up under there and clean it out. And if it's properly maintained, it's all good. But it was, I guess, my turn. And bro, I don't like confined spaces at all. And it wasn't light down there. It was actually water down there. And I'm pretty sure I heard the sound of rats down there, bro.
Wow.
So you got to crawl through this little tunnel to get up under this big weight. And all you got is a radio and a light and whatever you can drag on a bucket to scoop this stuff out so that the scale can weigh properly. And your only measure of safety is not getting electrocuted because it's water up under there that they don't tell you about, and this little radio to communicate with the crane driver so that they don't crush you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I went down there, bro, and like I said, I'm very thorough with what I do. I'm testing the radio. I ain't getting no response, bro.
Oh yeah, you probably said I refuse to go in until I get a response to know that I'm good to go through.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I got responses before I went up under there.
Right.
But once I got up under there was no more responses. I'm like, dude, and I'm listening for the crane, right? Because I'm gonna make a fast exit, bro. And I got in there and did what I needed to do and got out. And when I came out, I was like, did y'all even hear me on the radio? No. I was like, did y'all even know I was down there? Well, we were told to hold up for a minute. I'm like, dude, I was like, I'm so irritated right now. I'm just going to give you this light. I'm going to give you this bucket, and I'm going to give you this radio. Sayonara.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a safety hazard.
Man, that's a life or death situation, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to be involved in nothing like that. But that particular deal was crazy. And what you got, man? What you got?
Yeah, man. I worked for a company as well, where actually I worked for a couple different ones, where you do have to be really cognizant of your surroundings because lots of forklifts going all over the place. Then on top of that, the job itself, you're putting specialty oils and greases in the containers and drums and all that for shipment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you got to make sure that all the valves are on correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have, if it has multiple valves, you don't want to have one valve open and another one closed.
Right.
Then it's not going to come out and then you're going to back the thing up and it can explode. So, you kind of have to be on your P's and Q's, man. And I was really, really good and really like yourself, really thorough about safety.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, when you get newer people who may not be as hip to the job, or because most of the time when you go into a company like this, most people are kind of new to it. I was even new when I went into it.
Right.
So you get a lot of newer people coming in, and you kind of try to watch out for them because you don't want nobody, leaving with missing ligaments,
limbs, right?
Yeah, you know what I mean. So
yeah.
It's one of those things where you just you try to watch out for other people, man.
Absolutely, yeah. Because the company is obviously not watching out for you. Man,
not the way they should.
Man,
not the way they should.
Right. So, wow. I want to keep going, but I got another example, man.
Okay.
I got another example, and this is a little different. Let me see if I got it on here later. No, I got it on here later. So we'll keep on going, bro. Let's see here. These companies do everything they can to hold you accountable for anything and everything, bro. And it can be as minor as almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And these companies have the audacity to put you in these environments and treat you the way they do, but they don't want to be held accountable for nothing like that.
Right.
But let you be tardy one day or go to the bathroom one time too many. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. Right.
I mean, just ridiculous stuff, man. And heaven forbid you miss a day of work.
Man.
You know what I mean? Uh, in this particular case, man, I work for a company and I sprained the muscle in my foot.
Mm.
It was just a sprained muscle in my foot, which is very difficult to walk on or stand on, especially when it's right in the middle. Um, so I go to the company doctor and tell them what's going on, and they like, mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. And I'm explaining the whole story, the whole scenario, and everything. At the end of all this, this quack doctor gave me a little packet of Advil and a note that said, "Return to work full without restrictions."
Wow.
Yeah. So you can imagine how heated I was when I seen that doctor's note. And I was like, dude, you obviously don't care about nobody. And I said, you obviously don't care about your own career because this is insane. It's crazy. So I went back to the company. I said, look, I know what needs to happen here. And I know that your doctor is not my doctor. Obviously, he's
Right.
your doctor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to exercise my right and go see my own doctor. And then when my doctor prescribes whatever they prescribe for what I got going on, I'll give you those notes and then you can comply with those notes, because if you comply with this note, it's going to be a bigger issue than what it is already.
Right.
So, yeah. So, man, of course, I got him in check on that. But after something like that happens, you start to reevaluate your employer. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Thoroughly. And then I just knew it was a matter of time before I wasn't going to be there anymore. But what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, man. Company mistreatment. I tell you this. One of the companies I mentioned earlier, the one I just recently left,
Mm-hmm.
they had, when you're looking at accountability, we had every employer, when they have these companies, they have different divisions of their company that makes the whole thing tick.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'm on the sales side,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a call center that's responsible for getting us quality company leads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have managers, you have your CEOs, you
Mm-hmm.
have everybody in place.
Right.
What I learned is that the sales reps were held to this incredibly high standard and high bar, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what I also learned was that the call center was not necessarily held to that same standard.
Wow.
So this is part of the reason why some of those company leads were not good to begin with, because they were paid based on how many appointments they generated for us, not
Mm-hmm.
the quality of the appointments that we ran, or even if we closed the deal in the first place. So if all I
Wow.
have to do is just set you up with an appointment, and I know I'm gonna get bonuses based on how many, you're not really caring about the quality, because you're looking like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like when you point that out to them, and it's like, why are we held so much more to the high standard than
Mm-hmm.
this other division? And it's like, they don't have an answer for you, or they tell you, hey, I even had my manager tell us, hey, guys, if you don't like it, then maybe this isn't the company for you. I'm like, oh, that's the wrong response.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So yeah. I would say just off of this one company alone, man, it was enough to make you probably not want to delve into this particular industry again. I'll say it that way.
Hey, man. You know what? It's a lot of companies out there putting those little shockwaves on those particular industries. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Um, Eventually, it'll pan out. Eventually, they'll have to either come to justice, or shut their doors for good.
And
Yeah.
the craziest part about it, real quick, is I feel like as a company, when it comes to the customer that we would serve, I
Mhm.
think they were really pretty good overall.
Mhm.
But when it comes to the actual treatment of the employees themselves, it was kind of
Mhm.
like, man, it was just a huge difference. And you're like, wow. And then you look at it and then you start to kind of put two and two together. And you're like, well,
Mhm.
the only reason a lot of these customers even had A1 experiences is because of sales reps like myself. you
Right,
know,
right, right.
and it's kind of like when we all leave,
Mhm.
they have to understand that your volume and appreciation, from your customers are going to go along and be like, no, this is not a good company. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right,
So
man. Wow. So
yeah.
we're going to transition from this to something else, but I think this is a really good time to get into our other segment for the show
Uh-huh.
today. And this particular segment is, which would you prefer, their money or their influence? So the two people that we're going to compare today on their money and influence are Mark Cuban and Mark Zuckerberg. Now, you can pick any one and you can pick either or.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it, and I'll do the opposite, bro.
I have a really interesting take.
Okay. Okay.
I would pick Mark Zuckerberg's money, right?
Right.
The reason being is because obviously we know the CEO of Facebook. You're talking about, I think his net worth is 122.6 billion.
Which is crazy.
Uh, yeah, I mean, of course, most people would probably pick that too, but definitely not for this reason.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
reason I would do it is so that I could be, and I'm sure he's a big philanthropist to begin with.
Hmm.
But I would do it because I have an outlook, and this is going to probably maybe shock you to an extent, but I
Okay.
have an outlook that's more like, I feel no one should have that kind of money, bro. And the only reason
Okay.
I say that is
Okay.
because, I mean, when you look at how the poverty rate continues to increase
Hmm.
and how that gap between the wealthy continues, to continue to separate themselves further from the
Hmm.
poverty.
Hmm.
And I know that, you can't, save the world, but I think, when you have people making that kind of money, you probably can. So I would kind of take large portions of that money. Of course, I'm gonna still be good. I'm gonna still be heavy in the millions, but
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
man, I just feel like billionaires, really, it's like you got people sleeping under bridges. So,
Man, I'm a contest that, bro. And
I knew you would.
just for our listeners, and just because I think it'd be a good thing to do to let people see how we get out.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes we actually agree to disagree, which is fine.
Right.
We can do that and keep on moving. Uh, I'm gonna approach it from this, man. When somebody sets themselves up with an idea and then go the distance to make it an invention, and that invention just so happens to piggyback one of the biggest inventions that's put somebody else in the hundreds of billions,
Right.
uh, and supports it and makes it easier for people to communicate. It also it actually becomes a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Then that particular person should be able to reap the benefits.
I
You
agree.
know, what I'm saying? uh, whether it's a good life, a great life, or a ridiculously pleasurable life. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also, excuse me, support your statement that yeah, that's a whole lot of money, man. But the way it's set up, that's what their income is. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? They just got set up the right way, and then the way our economy is structured, things like that can happen.
Right.
As far as the homeless people, I really feel bad for those, and they're very unfortunate. Most of them.
Mhm.
But there are those who choose that life for one reason or another, or the choices that they make
Mhm.
cause them to end up in that type of life
Mhm.
for one reason or another.
Mhm.
Uh, so in that, I don't fault billionaires because billionaires go hard. You know what I mean? They go hard in every way, and they just think money. That's their thought process. They
Mhm.
think, um, they just think that way, man. They think on the edge of a level of creation that it's just, unless you think that way, you can't really explain it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Uh, and I have huge ideas like that. So of course you want to make a good life for yourself and your family, and the people that's coming later in your family.
Right.
Um, but as far as everybody else in that gap, really truly, we all have the same opportunity, bro. Whether
Mm.
we capitalize on it or not. You know, the
Ooh.
thing,
Okay.
the things that put Zuckerberg where he is, we have that same opportunity. He just capitalized on it. You know what I'm saying?
I have a counter.
Go for it. Let's do it.
I love this, man.
Yeah.
I always say, and it's something I've learned probably over the last year or two, but I
Mhm.
always say that talent is definitely equally dispersed around the world. Opportunity isn't.
Mm.
People don't always get to pick and choose the lives that they have. Sometimes you're looking for the opportunity to be able to show, hey, I can do this, I can
Mhm.
achieve this. And I think everybody needs a little help on their way to becoming self-reliant, especially when you're saying, heavy in the millions or heavy in the billions.
Mhm.
Everybody has had some kind of assistance on getting, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg, whether it's Mark Cuban, everybody's had somebody to say, all right, this is how you do this, or, offer them a helping hand and pull them up.
Mhm.
But not everybody actually has that opportunity or has been granted the opportunity or even been able to put themselves in a position to get the opportunity. So um, I think, there is nothing wrong with innovation. And I get
Mhm.
it. When you're innovative, you're going to be able to amass a large amount of wealth. And I have
Mhm.
no problem with that. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Right.
The problem is when you have so much wealth, you're not going to be able to spend that money. Your children's children will not be able to spend all that money, not
Excuse me.
responsibly anyway. Um,
Mm.
and it's just kind of like, we can definitely lower the poverty gap. I guess I'm just kind of big on that because as I, living in Kansas City, man, and, I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's kind of like I've been seeing more and more, people who are poor walking around the streets. And I'm like, wow, and I understand that, it's going to continue. I hate to say it, it's probably going to continue to be even worse, where
Mhm.
that number is going to continue to grow.
Mhm.
And at the same time, the discrepancy between the rich and the poor is going to continue to grow too. But I'm like, just because that's the way it is, doesn't mean that's the way it should be.
Well, true. However, let's just think about how many people that Mark Zuckerberg employs
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
around the country, around
The
Kansas
world.
City,
Right.
around the world.
Right.
Um, to me, that's doing a huge service to our system.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it ain't like all the money that he has coming in is going in his pocket.
Right. For
You know what
sure.
I'm saying? I mean, he's making ridiculous. He's pulling in ridiculous amounts,
Yeah. For
but
sure.
it's such a huge ridiculous amount that what he gets to hold on to is also a huge ridiculous
Ridiculous
amount.
amount. Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what type of lifestyle he got. I'm sure it's a good one. You know what I'm saying? But I don't never see him going around doing like this,
Right.
throwing his money up,
Right.
throwing it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like some of these people who don't even have a fraction of what he has are
Right.
doing. You know
Right.
what I mean? So he's probably investing, he's probably doing stuff for the community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's doing something because you're gonna need some tax breaks at that level.
For
You know what
sure.
I
For
mean?
sure.
Uh,
And I not to cut you off.
Mhm.
I don't, I don't say these things to, discredit, these incredibly wildly successful people because,
Mhm.
they're, excellent templates for us to follow as we continue to chase our own goals and our own dreams.
Right.
But it's just, I'm like, when you have that kind of amount of wealth, man, I mean, you're never going to be able to, like I said, your offspring's offspring will never be able to spend all that money, like I said, responsibly.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, I understand that you're employing, probably even millions of people or whatever the case may be. So I know you're helping a lot of people be able to take care of their families and supply their own needs. And
Mhm.
I know he's still doing philanthropy and all that. But I'm just saying that the whole idea of it all, of people of one person being able to possess that kind of wealth, that's just crazy.
It is crazy, but if it was me, bro, I mean, I might
Yeah.
do things a little different than him,
Mm-hmm.
but I still be holding on to the bulk of it and taking care of my children's children. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's just that because even where I'm at right now, that's my goal, bro. It might be on a smaller scale,
Mm-hmm.
but like mine's, no matter where you at,
Right.
your hustle is pretty much the same. You just at a different level. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I applaud the dude, man. That's a heck of an accomplishment. For him and a lot of other people that are way up behind the billions.
Right.
Uh, but he did it legally.
Right.
You know, and even he had issues where they was trying to break his, stuff up and mess with him. Uh, it, it, situations happen no matter how much money you got. You know what I mean?
Right. More money,
So
more problems,
right, and I'm sure he's dealing with all kinds of money problems, man. But it's just on a different, from a
Scale.
different, on a different scale. So I would go with his influence, man, because Facebook has really put a whole new dynamic on communication, bro. Um, and it's a lot cheaper than what AT&T used to do to us. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So there are a ridiculous amount of benefits behind his creation and how it gets
Definitely.
down, man. And I think his influence is powerful. You know what I mean? To say the least. Behind the computer and a lot of other great inventions like the automobile and even amusement like amusement parks and Walt Disney and so forth. Um, it was just a great idea from a great mind who went the distance to put it in place and execute it and see the results.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think we did good on that, bro. What you think?
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So
I
we
love
got one more. We got one more, man. We got one more.
Yes, sir.
So Mark Cuban,
Mm-hmm.
his money or his influence? What you got?
Man, I think I think his influence. Obviously, he doesn't have that Mark Zuckerberg money,
But it ain't bad
but
money.
it ain't bad. I think his what they consider his net worth at like 6.2 billion or something like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
It's
man.
incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're talking about the owner of the Dallas Mavericks and
Mm-hmm.
one of the founders of Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
So, just looking at what you can do when you have that kind of influence. I mean, right now he has a superstar in Luka Doncic.
Right.
And, anytime you're the owner of an NBA franchise, right, your influence is going to probably be pretty much second to none because you have so much capital that you're able to pretty much do. And it's kind of funny. I'm mentioning Luka, but I always try to be unbiased. I'm not really a big Luka fan like that. I think he's incredibly talented, especially
Mm-hmm.
for his age.
Yeah.
But I think, it's just amazing. You had, Dirk Nowitzki you drafted. This is all under his leadership.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So, Dirk Nowitzki, Luka Doncic, you were able to get Jason Kidd, later down the line and actually get Dirk a championship, getting him some help. So, it was kind of nice, man. Just seeing
Dirk went off that year too, boy. Golly.
Yeah. And I know this is probably another conversation for another day, and I'm probably about to start something, but I'm gonna go ahead and mention it anyway.
Okay.
I love LeBron James, man, and I love, what he did in terms of his tenure with Miami.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that year that he and Flash and Bosh all had gotten together, I think that was the only time that I could recall where he may have been the reason his team didn't hoist the trophy. Now, of course, you got to credit Dirk Nowitzki. They had Tyson Chandler in the middle. They had a great team, but there was no way that team should have beat that team that LeBron was playing on. And it was just kind of like, he just did a lot of settling for jump shots. And as opposed to attacking where he's unstoppable.
He was incredible, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person I can compare that type of performance to was Larry Bird, because I've seen that same type of aggressive offensive massacre from him as well, man. You go ahead.
Real quick, don't forget your thought. I was going to say, of course, Flash did a similar performance some years before in 2006 when he won the trophy before LeBron had got there. So
yeah, man, it's all about the focus and the passion and the desire and being in that moment, man, because I guarantee you, if it was a different moment in a different time, he wouldn't have been able to play like that, man.
Right.
He was in that zone at the right time, and it was his time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he did it. So we're a little bit off the subject now.
Yeah, that's all right.
But let's get into Mark Cuban's money, man. He initially got his kickstarting money off of selling his invention he had a partner that helped him develop, I think it was internet radio. Okay. So they sold it, and I think the number that I came up with was they split like $2 billion a piece, and that got him going, man. I mean, who? I mean, that would get me going. You know what I'm saying? Never seen his friend again, but at least I haven't. But good job, Mark.
Right.
Because he not only just took that and settled, he built it into what he has today. Right. And I think one of his main investments once he got there was the Dallas Mavericks team.
Yeah.
So it's like he had a plan and he stuck to it and he followed through on it. And he's where he's at today because of it.
Right. Yeah. Man, I completely agree with you. I think piggybacking off of that, I'm like, he can probably, I know I mentioned something about his net worth being definitely well over $6 billion. Mm-hmm. It's funny, he could probably sell the Mavericks for close to that.
But do you think he will?
I wouldn't, and I'm sure he won't. But just kind of, if he wanted to instantly double what it is he possesses, of course he could do that. But
I've seen people sell teams once they got to retirement age,
Right.
But right. I just don't see Mark doing that.
No, I don't either.
Not for anytime soon, for sure.
He's still sharp too.
What's that?
I said he's still sharp too. Razor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So he got that going on, and probably 100 other things as well.
Right.
Man.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, I think his money is going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Because of how he's handling his business, man. And whether it's 100 billion or 5 billion, $1 billion is a nice chunk of change, bro.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, man. Let's get on back into this. Our time is ticking away, bro. Where we at here? I'm gonna talk about productivity for a second, man.
Okay.
Because one of these companies that I work for at this particular time, I know I mentioned I was in a different state, different area. In order to get my self going, I just took something that what they would call a temporary position, and and I'm gonna grind hard no matter what. I'm gonna earn my money. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. So I'm grinding hard, getting it, being very productive, and all of a sudden, two new people show up, but they was hired through the company, and you know, they want me to train these two people to work for this company, and I'm temporary. I don't even work for the company,
Right.
but because I'm doing my thing, I guess they thought it was a good idea to have me train these people. And I approached the manager. I was like, "Can I have a word with you?" He's like, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" I was like, I'm just trying to wrap my thoughts around this and make sure I'm not misunderstanding something here." I was like, "The two people that just showed up were hired through your company, right?" He's like, "Yeah, they're full-time employees here." And I said, "Me, I'm temporary, so I really don't work for your company. I work at your company through another source."
Right.
And he was like, "Well, yeah, you still work for us, though." I was like, "Well, to a degree." And I
Right.
said, "But you want me to train your people?" He was like, "Well, you're required to do everything that we asked you to do." I was like, "Okay, let me repeat that because I don't
Within
think
my
you."
job description.
Yeah, I said, "Let me repeat that because I don't think you heard the point that I'm stressing." I was like, "You want me to train your company people?" I was like, "Do you think there's a little something odd about that? Something strange about that?" And he's like, "Well, tell me what you're thinking." I'm like, "Why not just hire me?"
Right.
You know,
And
you
then
know
give me a trainer's pay for this
that.
position that you want me to train these people for.
Now you see where I'm going. He was
Yeah.
trying to get over on me and use me because this is dollars that ain't even coming, like they would if he did the right thing,
Right.
right? So it was. I took it as a diss, man. I took it as total disrespect, and I told him, "Yeah, I'm required to do what you asked me to do, but that particular thing right there, I'm not willing to do." He's like, "So you're being insubordinate?" I'm like, "No." I was like, "I just don't think it's right for you to ask me to do something like that." That's
That's not your job description.
yeah. So I told him, I was like, "This will probably be my last day because I think it would be more your job to train them than it would be mine."
Absolutely.
And then he looked at me crazy, but that was it, man. And then I heard from another person that worked there that not only did they bring those two people in to train to replace me, they had to bring a third person in to replace me because that's how productive I was. And they couldn't hit the marks that I was hitting by myself.
Yep. That's perfect. That sets me up, man. For you just kind of set me up for an alley-oop.
All right, all
So
right.
I had a position like that, man. When I was working, one of the positions I was working overnights
Hmm.
in a cold warehouse, man. It was it was more of a refrigerated temperatures, but they
Hmm.
also had a freezer as well.
Hmm.
So I'm doing this, 3.5 nights out the week, working 12s. Um,
Mm.
it was, they would always, try to get on me about production, right? And it
Right.
was like, but my numbers are higher than everybody else's numbers
Hmm.
when it comes to the position in the first place. So if you're going to come to me, you need to be going to everybody else.
Right.
So that
Right.
their numbers need to be higher, especially when I'm doubling what the requirements are in the first place in terms of my output.
They shouldn't even have nothing to say to you.
Exactly. Then you want me to come in, and then I'm so good. You want everybody to come in and learn under me, and you want me to train them. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a
Uh-huh.
supervisor. I'm not a
Uh-huh.
GM.
Right. Right.
It's just kind of like, it was like, I don't want to see nobody fail because I remember being a new person.
Mm.
So I didn't mind, helping out and showing people what to do.
Right.
After a while, it's like, when you're not getting that, like you said, the trainers pay. I was, a permanent position through the actual company or whatever. But it
Hmm.
was kind of like, man, I could do so much better and knew I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, not putting the limitations on yourself, man.
Right.
Understanding, hey, I don't have to settle for this just
Right.
because it's on the table.
Right.
So, Yeah, you kind of, like I said, you set me up pretty nicely.
Hey, man, that was beautiful, man. I love it. So I got a couple more things I want to say, and then I'm gonna ask you a question at the end.
Sure.
These particular companies, they have the audacity to not trust you, but they should not be trusting themselves. And
Hmm.
the reason I say that is when they bring you in, uh, they you got to take a test of some sort. Uh, they're trying to find out where you are mentally, and
Hmm.
then they start taking samples from you, from your body to see if you got something in your system, and then they do a credit check, to
Right.
see what kind of lifestyle you got going on, if it's where it should be, or where some couple questions they got to ask or whatever, or if it's terrible, you know,
Right.
uh, and then once you go through all that, man, um, they want referrals. They want to get some information from people who've worked with you before, and all this, man. They want all this, which is
Right.
extremely a whole lot, man. You know,
Definitely.
and I understand depending on what environment you're trying to apply for,
Hmm.
this may be um, something that needs to be done.
Right.
Like if you're gonna be working for the CIA, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
They gonna go through everything, bro.
For
They
sure.
might test you 2 or 3 times just in case. You know what I
Right.
mean? But somebody that got you licking stamps and filling envelopes, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Absolutely.
And I just said that I never worked for that type of job, but it just
That's a
something
good
I threw out
example.
there.
Right.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. But what are your thoughts on that, man?
Actually, man, I think you said a mouthful because a lot of it is, and I think this is maybe where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we as people have been conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a job, you want to make the best first impression.
Right, right,
You want to have everything, yourself together, which you
mm-hmm.
should.
Right, right,
You want to have, be able to say all the right things. You want to look the part.
right, right.
And definitely you do want to have all those things. I would not encourage someone to do something otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it is you want to interview the job.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to just, you don't want to put yourself in a position or in a thought process where, oh, I'm lucky if I get this job. You want to put the company in a position to say, oh, I'm
Yeah.
lucky to have this person working for my company.
Now you got it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's exactly it, man. So hopefully what we brought today was beneficial to people. But I got a question for you. You busted a question on me last time, so I'm gonna
Yes,
bust a
sir.
question on you, man.
Okay.
So if you were in a position to interview your next employer, what questions would you ask them?
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Good questions.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
For me, and of course, everybody's requirements or what they're trying to achieve are a little different
Uh-huh.
than other people's. So I can only speak for myself. But what
Hmm.
I would ask is, obviously, it was something I was actually thinking about recently in
Okay.
terms of what would it take for me to live the lifestyle I want to live.
Mm.
So I always think of if you're a single individual, you obviously want to make a certain amount of money to not only be able to pay your bills, not only be able to have money in your pocket from pay period to pay period, but you
Hmm.
want to be able to save money each pay period so that you can continue to build and amass any kind of wealth that you have the potential to amass. I always call it, you want to pay yourself first.
Right, right, right.
So for me, I would ask a company, what is the salary being offered? Because I tried a position, or a couple times where it was a commission only type of scenario.
Hmm.
Position I'd actually just taken recently was more of a situation where not only was a base salary involved and a decent substantial base salary, but they actually pushed my start back date further because the company wide range of the base salary exponentially increases on this particular day.
Oh,
So
nice.
the
Nice.
manager was saying, hey, I recommend you, just waiting till then. He said, I mean, we can get you started, but basically we're going to be implementing this new policy that, requires you guys to be paid a lot more than what you're making now, which means we'll
Wow.
have to do paperwork all over again. So he was like, if you're able, in a position to be able to wait until this particular day, then, we'd like to get you set up for that. So I was just kind of like, you know what? It's a no-brainer because of
Yeah.
the salary being offered.
Mhm.
So just looking at it, it's just like for me, the questions to ask is, what is that salary being offered? And making sure that it allows me to be able to do what I want to do, plus commissions, bonuses, whatever. The other thing is, what is the culture like?
Mm.
For me, culture is a huge deal
Mm.
because my background is mostly warehousing.
Uh-huh.
So I just tried sales over the last couple of years, but I turned out that I love it. So I'm sticking in the
Okay.
field. I just got to find
Mhm.
the right employer.
Right.
I've been in, situations where the culture is just horrible and, the morale is horrible. If you're a really, really good worker, they can make even the best workers be like, I'm going only a third of my speed today because they don't appreciate my 150% effort.
Right.
So today they're going to get 10%. And
Mhm.
they feel it, you know what I mean?
Right, 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 right.
So, you know, culture is a big deal. You want to be able to make sure that you're with a company and with, working with a group of people who
Mhm.
actually care for you, appreciate you,
Mhm.
because I mean, life is too short to waste time on things you don't absolutely love. So,
Absolutely, absolutely, man.
so those are
Uh,
the two questions I would probably ask definitely out of the gate.
Great, man. Great response. But I'm gonna actually, instead of ask the question that I would ask,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use your same example and give you my response and what I would do in that situation.
Sure.
Uh, I'm a little different, man. Like I said, man, I don't hold back. I hit them in the face with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of asking them what does the job offer,
Mm-hmm.
my presentation would be like this: for this particular position, with respect to you, me, and everybody else, with what's going on with this type of company and this environment, this is what I'm worth.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And if you can't meet this or exceed it, don't waste my time, and I don't want to waste yours.
Right.
Check the resume. Let's go.
Right. Excellent,
you know,
man.
you know
I,
what I mean?
that's beautiful, man. I think we said the same thing completely differently.
Uh-huh.
But I love that, man, because you don't want to settle. And that's
Right.
kind of some of the template of what our show had been outlined as in the first
Uh-huh.
place. You don't want to
Mhm.
settle for anything less than what you're actually worth.
Right. Right.
That's why the salary is important, because it's
Mhm.
like, man, if you're not offering what I want,
Mhm.
you can't
Yeah.
entertain me.
No, no,
I'm not
yeah,
entertaining you.
no,
You can find somebody else that's okay with this.
exactly, exactly.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
yes, sir. So that's all I got, bro. You got anything else?
No, man, I think we did great on this one.
I agree as well, man. Like like I say, man, before when people get to know us for who we are and how we think and how we get out, especially as we match together,
Right.
on this particular show, man. I think not only the topics that we bring will be appreciated, but the angles that we present to give people a new eye opener will be appreciated as well, man. And I've been kind of watching the numbers, man, on this show and my show, That's Life with Evolution. Um, and I'm really, really appreciative and grateful for all the people that's been watching. I'm being, I see some people every now and then, evolution.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
starting,
called impact.
yeah, man, it's starting to get noticed a little bit. So that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to us getting it and keep on getting it, man. Congratulations, bro. Second episode is now complete, man.
Congratulations to you as well, man. I think we've got something brewing here, and I like it.
Same here, man. So you take care of yourself, man. I gotta have a speedy exit because I got another show bouncing back right after this.
Yes, sir.
It's getting a little busy, man. So I got to do what I got to do.
Yes, sir. Have a great show on That's Life, man, and wishing you all the best, of course.
Hey, thanks, man. But we'll be in touch. All right.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
You too. Everybody take care.
Yes,
Peace.
sir. Peace.